What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Game Day with Trey. This is your host, Trey, and this is your Strictly Bucks episode. All right, so this past weekend, I had the opportunity to actually go to the Bucks game and see what was going on out there. I wanted to see, was Kyle Trask more electric than Baker Mayfield or vice versa running this Canales offense? I also wanted to see how Canales was, what his flow was to his offense, how he would execute versus a defense that can be tricky at times when you're talking about the Baltimore Ravens, whether it's from starters to the second and third string. There's a reason that they had a 24 game win streak in the preseason. That's not just because they have their best players out there all the time. No, that's because they have great coaching, great systems that they run, and basically people show up and produce when they come to Baltimore, man. That's just how things go. So I was thoroughly impressed to see, first off, that the Bucks came off with the win 26-20, but also the style of play and the way things went. All right, because Baker Mayfield, he went 6 for 6 for 43 yards for a touchdown. That's 136.1 quarterback rating. All right, which is great. Now, but it was the way he did it. Okay, because he was throwing from different platforms, odd angles, and this and that and the third, that really just showed me that he was ready for the moment. Okay, now everyone needs to understand and realize that we are trying to ramp up and get ready to go up to Minnesota and play the Vikings. Okay, in Minnesota. Like I said before, you don't want to go up there with a quarterback that might get rattled or doesn't have the presence or the wherewithal to understand the moments and how to actually execute these odd arm angle throws that you have to do in the NFL. These are all off-platform throws that if you can't do it, then you're going to be destined to be a second-string quarterback for most of your career. All right. So when I saw Baker Mayfield drop the biscuit in the basket when he threw it to Godwin in the back of the end zone, man, I almost jumped out of my seat. Because the way that drive was executed, the steps that were taken, the fact that we had a good mixture of run versus pass, even the tight end sweep with Cade Otton, man, like this is the stuff I like to see, brother. These are the types of things I like to see as a fan of the Buccaneers and a fan of football. But you want to see innovative and creative offenses. You don't want to see plain Jane all the time. Pass, run. Pass, run. Pass, run. I understand that this is a league that is predicated off of points and the action that you do out there, especially through the passing game. All right. But at the end of the day, man, without the running game, there's nothing, because you can't just drop back and pass all day. The defense will pin its ears back and they're coming for you like headhunters. That's just the way it is. So at the end of the day, I'm definitely happy with what I saw from Baker Mayfield. Now, the question is Baker going to be able to keep replicating that? He only played for the first quarter. I don't even know I can't remember if he played into the second. I don't believe he did. I think he only played like 2 drives or 3 drives max. I know Godwin only played 2 drives. So at the end of the day, these are the things that anyone and everyone as Buccaneer fans, we just got to be leery of. We got to understand that we're sitting with a quarterback, all right, who has been successful in the NFL. Last time that he started for a full season, he was injured, and everybody knows he played injured. But if you look at all of the other seasons that Baker has played in the NFL, he's taken teams that had nothing, like 0-16 his rookie year, or the year before his rookie year, and then his rookie year he takes them almost to the playoffs, I believe. He definitely flipped their record. And then they got Odell, and they started stacking. But the Bucks have better wide receivers. They have Chris Godwin. they got Mike Evans. And if you look at the way that this roster is shaking out right now, when you're looking at the 53-man roster that the Bucs are cutting down to, and the people that they've eliminated so thus far, you have to be pleased. I mean, even if you're just looking at what Greg Oman reported on X earlier today, when he was just talking about old to new, right? So Brady was 45, Mayfield's 28. Trask is 25 if he even touches the field this season. Hopefully not, but if he does, he's 25. And I believe he is prepared to be able to run this offense anyway. Now that we've cut John Wolford, at wide receiver, we went from Julio Jones, 33. Trey Palmer is 22. Now, I expect big things from Trey Palmer, especially the acrobatic receptions that this young man has made thus far in the preseason. I'm excited to see how he jives with Baker and with Mike Evans out there and Chris Godwin, and actually how Canales calls the plays, because he's actually got some weapons out there. Also, don't forget about Rachaad White and the fact that Rachaad can catch the ball out of the backfield as well as run. All right, which, by the way, Rachaad did pretty good. 7 carries for 39 yards at an average of 5.6 yards per carry. That's great. That's great. All right. Now, but let's continue. So then Greg Allman says we went from Rudolph, 33, to Payne Durham, 23. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure if Payne Durham's even going to touch the field right now this year. We haven't cut him yet, but that's only because we drafted him in the 5th round, so I don't think we can cut him. I'm not impressed with what I've seen from Payne Durham. I probably expect the same kind of production that I got out of Kyle Rudolph last year, which was, what was it, 1 catch or 2 catches all season? Yeah. So I'm not expecting much from Durham, but hey, he's 23 years old. Hopefully he starts to step up to the player that we all believe that he could possibly be. Just not right now. It's not looking like that right now. Then we went from Suckup at 36 to McLaughlin, who's 27, and I'm happy with McLaughlin. He's been doing good kicking. We dropped Perryman, who also got cut today on the Colts, and we got Raheem Jarrett. Now, Raheem Jarrett, we haven't been able to really look at him too much this preseason because he was injured, but when we did see him in this past game, 2 games, the Jets game and the Baltimore game, young man showed up. I'm definitely happy to see that we are investing in the right draft picks. There's so many times where teams will draft players, and it's not players that'll touch the field. All right, it's about time that we have started drafting more players that are guaranteed that we're going to put out there on the field and make them play. And I'm happy to see that we're doing that. We also went from Fournette to Sean Tucker, just to give you that one. Fournette's 27, Sean Tucker's 21. From Carl Nassib, 29, to Yaya Diaby, 24. We went from Nunez Roches, 29, to Kalijah Cansey, 22. There's a lot of big moves that we're making here in this youth movement. Now, we're not quite the LA Rams with 36 players that are below the age of 25, I believe, or 26, something crazy and insane like that. So at the end of the day, yes, it's a youth movement, but we do have veteran presence within the locker room. So I'm happy to see what's going on right now with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm happy to see what I saw at the game. I believe that when Sean Tucker left the game with the cramps after 10 carries for 34 yards, I think that he could have done a lot better in that game, but he did do a good job picking up the block, or picking up blocks and picking up the blitz. He did catch a couple out the backfield as well, or one out of the backfield. So I love Sean Tucker. I don't think he's going to pass Sneak Vaughn right now, but who's to say? Because the cuts aren't over yet, and then we still have Chase Edmonds. So he's an active running back that is a veteran, knows the offense, and has the ability to execute. his leadership abilities alone will most likely keep him in the room. So then when you look at even when you look at Tompkins, his kick return, all right, Devin Tompkins' kick return, yet another undrafted free agent that was picked up 2 years ago. Not this season, but 2 seasons ago is when we picked him up, and he's growing, man. I'm happy with that young man. I love how Tompkins is electric every time he touches the ball. Or what about that pancake block he had in the game as well? That was pretty phenomenal, considering that he is only about 5'8", he weighs about 175, 160, if that. All right, so at the end of the day, I'm happy about his fight. I'm glad that it looks like he's going to be one of the wide receivers to make this team. And I think that we're in a pretty decent position right now as Buccaneer fans, just on the fact of how we're building. All right. If you look at what the Arizona Cardinals are doing right now, which, by the way, I don't mean to switch topics, but everybody keeps talking about how the Bucs are not going to win more than 4 or 5 games, things like that. We're going to end up in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes and that type of stuff. When you get teams like Arizona out there openly and actively tanking, they don't have a quarterback. They're going to either start Clayton Tune, who's a rookie, or they're going to start Josh Dobbs, who they just traded for from the Browns. So either way, how are you going to look at yourself in the mirror, everybody? I want everybody to look themselves in the mirror and ask themselves, do they think that Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune, with the surrounding cast that they have in Arizona, can do a better job than Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask? I'm just saying, yo. All right, it's not rocket science. There's no opportunity for the Bucs to get Caleb Williams. So we all need to stop that stuff, and we need to move on. All right, so let's talk about some other things that I saw out there. I saw some good pressure from Shaq. Shaq Barrett was definitely getting around the corner, around the edge. He was getting good push up the field. He was using multiple moves. That I like to see that from Shaq, especially coming off of that Achilles. So yeah, I think that Shaq, he's not back. All right, like, not saying that he's not on his way back, but he's not all the way back yet. Of course not. You know, he's coming off Achilles. Plus, he had all those off-season things that happened with his family and his daughter in the off-season. So I'm sure that this season will be his more feeling out process to see how his body is going to react to a full season, full contact football coming off that Achilles. All right, but he looked great. So just so y'all know, he looked good. All right, and then when we get him out there with Elijah Cansey and Yaya Diaby, and oh man, and when Levante plays out there too, because that touchdown that the Bucs did give up in the beginning of the game on that first drive, that was due to J.J. Russell being out of position, which is probably why we just cut him. Had he not been out of position on that one play, then he might have still been on the team right now, because he's done a lot. He's done a lot. He's been active out there on the field, and he's made you pay attention to him. He pops when he's on the field, but the problem is that you can't give up a touchdown like that on the very first drive against starters. And when we got you out there with the starters, and we're looking for someone who can step in the role after Levante, or if something happens with Levante, especially with Savassi Dennis out right now. Hopefully the young man will be back soon. He's also another weapon that I want y'all to pay attention to. But yeah, now to get to Kyle Trask, right? He just was not electric, man. Let's just be honest. When Kyle Trask is out there, the offense is moving, the ball moves, but it doesn't move. No, it doesn't. Is he someone that you could literally fall asleep on? Or you could see yourself falling asleep on as you're watching the game, even if the game's close? Yes, he is. Kyle Trask, he's a backup, man, which is cool. I'm all right with that, but he's a backup. All right, so let's just stop all this nonsense. Let's just be happy with what we got. Let's move on. We'll eventually get another quarterback, everybody. But at the end of the day, okay, being a realist, looking at the weapons we have on the team, you have to understand that we just are where we are and we got who we got. And hopefully Baker can do something and he can exceed the expectations of the rest of the world. Because I have faith in what he's doing this season, but, what say y'all, man? Y'all need to let me know in the comments. Now, we do have this hurricane coming through, everybody. I don't know if anybody knows, but I'm down here in Tampa, and I am off the Alify. So not far away from the water and all this and that, the third. We're not doing an evacuation because we're not in an evacuation zone, but we are taking all the proper precautions. And I just want to make sure to let everybody know, I hope you made and took the proper precautions. Went and got your water, checked your generator, went and got gasoline, all the proper essentials that are needed for when a hurricane is coming through, regardless of whether it looks like it's headed your way or not, especially here in Florida. All right? So please, prayers for everyone out there. Y'all have a blessed day. Stay safe. And I'm going to holler at y'all later, man. Peace.